young. So I had to tell my mom that I was Muslim. My mom actually said to me, she cried so much and she said to me, I would have rather you have told me you were a prostitute than a Muslim. Is how can it be that these people who we idolize on the outside, people literally scream at, are still not feeling happy? And I think I quickly concluded it's because they're not genuinely being themselves when they're on camera. Allahu Akbar, and the bullet reverses and it goes back towards the guard. The part that got me the most is it was in that moment that a breeze, like a light, gentle breeze came and it picked us all up, all of the Muslims, and it lifted us up and took us over the fence. I was born in northwest London. I grew up in a house where my family were all in the performing world. My great aunt, she owned and she started up a lot of the theatre companies in the UK. My cousin signed by Sony. Like, this was our life and what I was very much around. So from a very early age, I went to stage school. I was always performing. Then when I became a teenager, I rebelled. I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, and I was probably trying to find myself, and I left home, I left school at 14, and I got in with all different kinds of people. It definitely wasn't a straight journey. It took a long time to get back here. My family are Jewish. We were not religious at all. And I was really lost. Both my parents are agnostic and they didn't believe in the religion. So we grew up with pork in the house, which is completely un-Jewish. We did Christmas. We really didn't celebrate any religious festivals in the Jewish religion. So I definitely didn't feel an identity as a Jew. And in fact, I didn't even tell anyone that we were Jewish. It was almost like a shame I felt with it. I don't know why. Well, I do now looking into it, but I definitely wasn't proud of that being my heritage for a very long time. I was around the music industry and I was quickly around quite a lot of celebrities. The more I was working in those fields, and I ended up working on places like BBC One Extra, Kiss FM. I was doing quite big presenting on radio shows and hosting for really huge celebrities. So I would go out on stages with thousands in the audience. None of them felt like they were standing in the success. They felt like they were standing next to the success and looking at it from an outward angle. And so I would think to myself, even though I was pretty young, I would always think to myself, there's got to be more life than this. How can it be that these people who we idolize on the outside, people literally scream at, are still not feeling happy? And I think I quickly concluded it's because they're not genuinely being themselves when they're on camera. They're having to be a persona. They're having to act in a way that society wants them to come across as. And so internally, they don't feel complete. best friend at the time that I was staying with in Southwest London, a lot of the time we were in a very similar field, we did the work together, she became Muslim. And I actually don't know how she became Muslim. So it was finally when she became Muslim and started to just tell me, the main thing that really struck me was anyone can be a Muslim. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how many sins you've committed. And I really understood that this is a religion that doesn't judge you. As long as you believe in one God and you accept all the prophets and all the messengers, everyone has a chance. And I just thought, this has to be the truth. This has to be the truth. Why would God create us to be destined to the hellfire? I kept praying. So I would even wake up for Fajr with my friend. So I was staying with her and she'd pray Fajr as a Muslim, she'd make wudu, and I would sit behind her and I would put my hands up and I would just say, God, please, if Islam is the truth, just guide me. And I kept begging for a sign. I just wanted something. Allah knows what people need to guide them. And it was then that I had a dream, and this dream shook me to my core. And suddenly someone next to me says, Alhamdulillah. And the God realizes that we're all Muslim. And he points his gun at me, this huge gun, and he points at me and he fires. And it was literally, I remember it like it was yesterday. I can see it still so vividly in my mind. The bullet starts to come out in slow motion. And it's then I realized Allah can save me. Why am I fearing a human when it's Allah, when it's God who has the power to do anything? So I put my fear aside and I put my trust in God and I start saying, Allahu Akbar. Everyone around me starts to shout Allahu Akbar, and the bullet reverses and it goes back towards the God. The part that got me the most is it was in that moment that a breeze, like a light, gentle breeze came and it picked us all up, all of the Muslims, and it lifted us up and took us over the fence. When I woke up and I told my friend about this dream, she started to cry and I said, what? She said, bearing in mind, I hadn't really read the Quran. I hadn't read anything. I didn't really know any hadith. I didn't have a lot of knowledge. I just knew that I loved Islam. And she said to me, at the end of time, there will be a breeze that will come and save the souls and lift the souls of the Muslim. I was like, this is the truth. I really understood the depth of this dream. I said to myself, I'm not fighting this anymore. I could die tomorrow. I need to become a Muslim. And I don't even think it was a week before I took my Shahada. So I had to tell my mom that I was Muslim. My mom actually said to me, she cried so much and she said to me, I would have rather you have told me you were a prostitute than a Muslim. And I couldn't believe that she would have this view on Islam. Obviously, the reality is that my family still hold on to that, the larger family. So a lot of them, me being a Muslim is a huge shock. To know that Allah always replaces what you give up for his sake with better. And for me, this was a moment that just proved that to me, that when I gave up speaking, that celebrity, what Allah, may Allah accept it, I was given something so much better. There's nothing that can replace the happiness of Iman. There's nothing that could compare to it. So yes, it's always going to be a struggle. This life is a test, but true happiness is in iman, and nothing can compare to it in freedom of the Western world.